When times are tough, one woman never gives up.
There was something about her that stood out.
A woman who makes the most of what she's got.
She was quite popular.
She uses her charm, her wit, and her .38 revolver.
Elma was so dangerous to men, she should have had a warning label right on her forehead.
In the 1950s, the legends of Elvis, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis begin in Memphis, Tennessee. 100 years ago, the same streets produce a legend of a very different kind. Vance Avenue, Elma Feed. Named after the red light district she worked so well.
She was a prostitute as early as age 16, and she was involved in the grittiest side of Memphis as a result of that.
Dirt poor, but beautiful and oozing charm. Elma uses her best assets to survive.
Her ability to attract men is how she decided she was going to live her life.
You need $1.
And in those days, if a woman wasn't a nurse or a teacher and she needed to make a living, working in a brothel was pretty much the only option left.
Elma's immoral profession supports her mother and sister.
They needed to live, they had to have money. I think her mother could justify her behavior because she was doing it for her family.
Elma seemed to be attracted to the wild side. Elma decided that what she wanted out of life, she wasn't going to find in the traditional way.
By age 17, she marries 30-year-old Charles Halprin Cox.
She met him in one of the gambling houses along Vance Avenue, where he ran a poker table. And by all accounts, it was a very fast courtship. They got married, fought a lot, drank a lot.
Elma's used to playing the field. She doesn't like being tied to one.
You're my wife. Act like it.
And then got divorced less than a year later.
No man tells me what I can do.
For Elma, the grass is always greener, other men more attractive. At 23, she marries again.
3 cheers to me.
To 32-year-old railway worker Roy Calvert.
I think that she probably had a very low threshold of boredom and wanted to always be involved in something else, with someone else, doing something else.
But life with Roy is a struggle.
I doubt whether he was a saint. Those early railroad men were a tough crew. It was a rough life.
And Elma doesn't want anyone to control her.
What?
She didn't take any guff off of anybody.
A man expects a meal at least.
I'm no man's slave.
I think that was a combination of her personality and what life as a prostitute did for her.
I can't go on like this, Elma.
No, it can't.
Elma doesn't want to be married to Roy anymore.
I don't think she liked men. She loved them, but she didn't like them.
Life on the streets has taught her how to deal with problems.
Quite frankly, when Elma got tired of somebody, that somebody went away. If they weren't going to go away of their own accord and Elma was through with them, then Elma got rid of them.
Less than a year after the wedding, Roy is dead with a single gunshot. Elma doesn't run from the scene of the crime.
Oh no, help me!
She calls for help and lets her charm do the rest.
She was able to charm the jury into seeing her side of the story, that she was fearful of her life. She accused Roy of drinking a lot. She accused him of hitting her.
She really played the young, pretty Elma angle, the poor victim, and it worked for her very nicely.
How's it feel to be free, Elma?
Relieved. I just want to thank the jury for recognizing I was defending my life.
Roy's death is deemed justifiable homicide. Elma is free.
She learned right then that a gun could solve problems with a man, and she never unlearned it.
Elma Feed has been working as a prostitute on the streets of Memphis for decades.
For you, my darling.
And she can still lure the men. Wealthy, respected businessman, 56-year-old Michael McClavey
As beautiful as you.
sweeps her away from the seedy streets to a genteel life.
He wanted to make Elma a lady, pull her from the life of squalor that she had been living in, and set her up in a house and make her respectable.
Michael knows she shot her first husband,
have everything
but he
you want.
thinks he can change Elma for the better.
He knew what she was, he knew where she came from, and he just wanted to give her a good life.
You've no need to go out or to work.
The things in life that she hadn't had before, the security, the money, without all the risk of the streets and the brothels.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to. You can just stay at home.
But within months, Michael's protection becomes suffocating.
If Elma had met Michael earlier in life, things might have worked out differently. Elma was used to a hard scrabble, violent life. And life with Michael, even though he loved her, was boring for her.
Elma spices things up by taking in a boarder, 31-year-old Charles Miller.
He was everything her husband was not. He was young, he was good-looking, he was worldly, he was exciting, he was known to be quite a ladies' man.
Elmer, it's time we went to bed.
I'll be there soon.
A lover right under her husband's nose. Devastated at the loss of Alma's affection, Michael doesn't realize he is about to lose much more than her love.
When she got tired or bored of something, she moved on to something else dramatically.
Michael knows about us.
Elma has no intention of divorcing her husband.
What should we do?
She's thinking of a more permanent arrangement.
Elma's number one concern was Elma. She was willing to do what she thought she needed to do at the time. Once she got the idea in her head, she did it.
Elma wants a separation by bullet, and her lover, Charles, to do the dirty work. Barely a year into their marriage, Michael McClavey is dead.
He was an innocent victim, and ultimately his wanting to help is what cost him his life.
Elma solved her problems with a .38 revolver, and that was that.
Charles is convicted of murder. Elma's youthful allure is gone. This time, she is convicted of being an accomplice and sentenced to 10 years. But Elma only serves 4.
She was probably a model prisoner, charming, nice. One of these prisoners that gets in jail and everything. Well, you know, what's this nice lady doing here? A nice girl like this doing in a place like this?
After her release, Elma does what she does best, selling her body and looking for husbands.
What was she looking for heaven's sakes, in all these marriages? I mean, how many? 6 marriages? That's way beyond the norm.
By the late 1940s, she marries again. Thankfully, it ends in divorce. Until husband number 6, 65-year-old Ed Gill.
Where's the money?
What money?
You know what money I'm talking about. The money you lost.
So what if I did?
You know, I could just kill you.
For a while, it looks like she's met her match.
Not if I kill you first.
Ed likes guns, too.
Why don't you just go ahead and try me, Alma?
They did not get along well. Fights, pulling pistols on each other, it was a sick relationship.
I'd just like to see you try.
Elma was simply hardcore.
On the night of January 2nd, 1949, when Ed's back is turned, Elma ends the marriage her way.
She did it like she would peel an egg. It was necessary to peel the egg. It was necessary to kill her husband.
Marry someone, get tired of them, kill them, go on to the next. She wasn't a black widow in the sense that she did it for money. She did it for Elma.
Elma Feed is convicted of murdering Ed Gill and spends 6 years behind bars. When she is released, for once, she lives on her own. For local historian Jody Schmidt, Elma is one of the sweet and sour chapters of Memphis history. When she dies in 1970, her grave is a modest stone, right next to her very first husband.
After all these failed marriages, she ended up dying alone. She had no one around her.
Vance Avenue is now far from the vibrant red light district it was in Alma's day. But its gun-toting streetwalker, Elma Feed, lives on in Memphis folklore.
I just want to thank the jury for recognizing I was defending my life.
Vance Avenue, Alma, was fascinating to a lot of people. Because of those men and because of the way she lived her life, she remains a fascinating character.
Elma apparently saw herself as a victim. Maybe that helps explain why 3 of her husbands are dead.
For some teenage girls,
where have you been?
Rebelling is a part of life.
She had a problem with her mother telling her what to do.
Look what I've done.
But when defiance turns criminal,
she's committed a very terrible, very violent act.
Lives are changed forever. In 1996, Denver, Colorado.
Rise and go.
Pastor Madeline Toombs can reach most of her congregation.
Let's get out of here.
Shh, girl, behave yourself.
But not her daughter, 16-year-old Jennifer.
Comes to us through our eyes.
Jennifer Toombs was an out-of-control teenager. She was definitely a behavioral issue with her mom.
Sometimes unwilling.
Madeline adopted Jennifer as a baby.
To make room for her.
She was a loving mother to this child that she'd adopted at a young age.
And you have to find that which grows.
Madeline tries to tame the wild in her daughter.
Where have you been?
Out.
I warned you. The next time you did this, you'll be grounded. Now go to your room.
Madeline tried to be strict with her daughter, tried to impose discipline.
Jennifer resisted. She wanted to do what she wanted to do.
Jennifer wants revenge.
Jennifer was very upset by her mother's actions and attempted to and even partially set the bedroom on fire.
She had virtually no impulse control. She was angry, and she wanted to destroy something.
Jennifer isn't just defiant at home.
Jennifer! Jennifer!
She skips school, starts drinking alcohol, and stealing cars.
Yes! Go, go, go! Go!
As a teenager, Jennifer exhibited all the behaviors that would lead someone to believe she was headed for very serious trouble.
Her life of crime comes to a screaming halt when she is arrested for car theft. Jennifer is released on probation, but she can't go far.
Part of her juvenile probation included a curfew that was being monitored with an electronic monitoring device, an ankle bracelet.
Being on confinement was like being in prison, and she was going to get out.
Jennifer sees a chance of freedom. Mom Madeline is going on a weekend church retreat.
Her mother was leaving town. When Jennifer found that out, she planned a party.
But the pastor is one step ahead of her daughter.
Obviously, when you have a daughter who gets in trouble as much as Jennifer did, she wasn't going to leave her at home by herself.
Madeline arranges for close family friend, 23-year-old LaTanya Lavallee, to stay with Jennifer.
Of course I will.
I can't trust her.
LaTanya's family was very involved with the Toombs family. Her stepfather was an associate pastor in the church, so the two families were very close.
On September 27th, 1996, Madeline leaves LaTanya in charge.
Any problems, call me.
We'll be fine.
The two girls are more than good friends. They think of each other as family.
Be a good girl.
She will.
They were so close that Jennifer referred to Tanya as her cousin.
Jennifer, I know what you're up to.
But it doesn't mean Jennifer can do what she wants.
That party that you're planning, it's not gonna happen. It's just a couple of people. Your mom wouldn't allow
LaTanya
it.
says no
Come on,
to the
I'm stuck
party
here,
plans.
remember? No, it's not happening.
Jennifer despised authority. And that night, LaTanya had the authority, but she didn't have the respect. Jennifer respected no one.
September 27th, 1996. Denver, Colorado. LaTanya LaValle is babysitting a family friend. She is expecting a quiet night. But 16-year-old Jennifer Toombs, already on home detention, has other plans.
They were told, "You got to keep your voices down." When they asked why, Jennifer told them, "Well, my babysitter is still here. Her boyfriend is going to be over to pick her up, but for right now, we have to be really quiet."
Good. So, why don't you drink?
A secret party isn't enough for Jennifer.
Yeah, right. I'll be back in a minute.
She wants the run of the house and goes to confront LaTanya in the basement.
She then went and again asked Tanya if she could have this party.
Oh, hey, girl.
Are you gonna let me have a party?
And Tanya said no.
Come on, just sit down and watch some TV with me.
It's the wrong answer.
When Jennifer wanted something, she wanted it, and she wanted it now.
And there is one way that she can get it.
What I've got.
With a handgun.
For real. That's cool.
Her friends think she's just fooling around.
She walked down to the bottom level where LaTanya was watching television.
She took the .25 caliber handgun with her. She shot LaTanya 5 times.
She died instantly.
She was sending her a message. How dare you tell me what to do? You're dead.
She then closed the door to the room where nobody could see her and went back to continue her party.
I know what that is.
Tanya's gone out to a nightclub, so we've got one of the house.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's it. I know what that is.
Thank you.
She's a stone-cold psychopath and felt nothing about killing LaTanya. No empathy, no remorse, nothing.
"4:30 a.m. The party is over. But one friend, 15-year-old Tiffany, stays the night.
Once everybody else was gone and Tiffany fell asleep, that's when Jennifer started trying to clean up.
But you can't wash away the mess of 5 bullets to the head. Jennifer comes up with another plan. A break-in.
Oh my God.
Tiffany was asleep. Jennifer woke her up,
Come on. What? Get up.
pretending to be in a panic, and said LaTanya's dead.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The only story left was to say that some unknown person came in the house and did it.
I think we should call someone.
Tiffany calls her parents. The police soon arrive. Jennifer sticks to her story. An intruder did it. But she admits the strangest thing, that she tries to clean up the killer's mess before she calls the police.
If an intruder breaks into your house and kills somebody, you don't try to clean up after them.
When the police talk to the party guests, Jennifer's gun-toting ways are exposed.
The people recall hearing some popping noises, thought it might be firecrackers.
All the evidence points to Jennifer.
She tried to cover up this brutal murder in a manner a 16-year-old kid would do it. There's no planning, there's no thinking. It was just kind of off the top of her head.
Jennifer didn't think things through, or she simply didn't care.
On April 4th, 1997, Jennifer Toombs is convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. No chance of parole. That anyone could kill a close friend just to have a party defies belief. To this day, it's a mystery.
I don't know if anyone ever got the full picture of Jennifer Toombs.
I've prosecuted serial killers, rapists that killed people. Jennifer Toombs is the most cold-blooded murderer I've ever prosecuted. She killed Tanya like she was taking out the laundry. I mean, it was nothing to her.
Some kids act bad to get attention or make a statement. And some kids just are bad.
They say money can't buy happiness.
But I want a bigger ring.
But some dark hearts can't be happy without it.
She wanted to get rich.
No matter the cost.
Aren't you a vision?
That kind of person is known as a psychopath.
In Straitsville, Ohio, 1908, the daughter of a humble farmer is dressing for success. Clara Green is a 24-year-old ahead of her time.
She had a high school degree, did graduate, and she also had 2 years of business college.
The budding writer is priming herself for a life beyond the hay bales.
She wanted to go to the city. She wanted money. She wanted to be a lady. She wanted to live a much better lifestyle than she'd had when she was growing up.
For a female in 1908, the fastest track to riches is to become the woman behind the man. And Clara's childhood sweetheart, Robert Gibson, has all the right credentials.
He was very well educated, became a teacher. He was a likable guy with a personality, outgoing personality, and it was easy to see why Clara would fall in love with him.
Will you marry me?
His marriage proposal is accepted on one condition.
But I want a bigger ring.
Clara and Robert were deeply in love, and they seemed to have a happy marriage.
One day I'll buy you whatever you want.
Things were going well between them, but she wanted money. She wanted a different life than what he was able to give her on a teacher's salary.
France sold the territory of Missouri.
Robert won't make their fortune teaching, and Clara's not getting rich writing for newspapers. But she has a plan.
She wanted nice things, she wanted nice clothes, and she came up with this scheme to get rich.
Missouri's economy became more varied.
Diverse.
Yeah, that's great.
They would travel around the countryside, write stories about the history of towns, and sell them by subscription and make money that way.
We have to cover this territory well.
Why?
People have money there. It's a gold mine of subscribers.
When Clara set her mind on something, it got done.
We're going to be rich, Clara.
But the business is a failure.
Face it, Robert. We're never going to make any money.
We will, Clara. We just have to be persistent.
Clara waits 12 long years to see the money. Then, one day, it walks right through her front door.
Frank, this is my wife, Clara. Clara.
Frank Carl was the son of a Kansas farmer, Alonzo Carl. He was a big, robust, healthy guy.
Aren't you a vision?
Nice to meet you, Frank.
One of these very likable kinds of men.
Will you be joining us for dinner?
Smells delicious. I'd love to.
Frank's a salesman,
Can I get you a beer?
and he seems like a good one.
She was given the impression that Frank had a lot of money.
And that's a quality Clara likes in a man.
Clara was unhappy with Robert, now had another man in line, if you will, and was ready to move on.
March 1920. Robert is suddenly struck down with the flu. Luckily, Clara's on hand to provide constant care.
No, Mom.
It will make you feel better.
No, Mom.
Robert.
Robert is never going to feel better.
Robert Gibson officially died of influenza, and that was the official cause of death.
Robert?
The grieving widow wants no fuss and no funeral.
He died at midnight. By noon the next day, Clara had packed up his body and shipped it off.
So there was some speculation about why that happened. It was just kind of strange.
In death, Robert finally delivers the riches he'd promised.
She inherited from him about $3,000, which in 1920 dollars would have been about $35,000, $36,000, something in that neighborhood.
Clara has her long-awaited windfall. But ambition is a hungry beast.
5 months after the death of a husband, and she's marrying another man? It didn't look good for Clara. But to this date, no one had suspected anything.
In Hancock County, Indiana,
Isn't it gorgeous?
Clara Gibson is not a typical grieving widow. In fact, she's not even Clara Gibson anymore.
To my gorgeous bride, the light of my life.
Just months after the sudden death of her first husband, Robert, she falls into the arms of his rich friend.
She married Frank Carl, and the newlyweds moved to Indiana, to a small rural community, Philadelphia, Indiana. It was considered untoward for someone to get married so quickly after having lost a husband.
How long has it been? His bed is still warm.
They were a little suspicious of her. What were her motives? Why did she want to get married so quickly?
But Clara knows the only way to get ahead is to get a husband.
Women at this time, they had to be dependent upon a husband or somebody to provide you with an income.
The newlywed soon discovers Frank is all talk and no money.
Here.
What's this?
Read it.
2 months after the marriage, Clara wants a divorce.
She declared that one of the reasons for getting a divorce was that Frank had lied to her. And it turned out he didn't have any money.
Clara, no, wait.
Frank desperately tries to appease his wife.
It's an insurance policy. It's for $2,000.
He managed to get her to call off the divorce by making her the beneficiary of his life insurance policy.
Please.
Like Clara's first husband, Frank's now more valuable dead than alive. And he has prospects of an inheritance.
Frank invited his father, who was 85 years old, to come live with him so they could help care for him.
Frank's elderly father, Alonzo, is wealthy.
You're looking well.
Fit as a fiddle.
Alonzo Carl had a large farm out in Kansas. It was over 500 acres. The farm would be split up between the remaining sons.
With the prospect of a big inheritance, Clara is happy to look after Alonzo in his later years. And that happens sooner than expected.
Alonzo's health deteriorated shortly after he moved in with Frank and Clara. But no one really suspected anything because of his age.
The caring wife is using her unique home remedy again.
Got some more of that beef shin soup you love.
The doctors couldn't figure out what was going on with him, why he was suddenly developed this mysterious illness. Basically, he had kidney, liver, and urinary problems. He only lasted of a few days.
Alonzo?
Clara's record as a nurse is not improving. As Frank mourns his father, Clara is already counting the money.
I'm afraid I have some bad news.
She hoped to inherit the family farm back in Kansas, and then she would have access to that estate and to the money that it might bring.
Frank, her father left everything to his stepson in Denver.
What?
But the joke was on Clara. Alonzo left all of his money to someone else. The irony gods were laughing that day.
I'm sure Clara felt rather cheated, but the deed was done and there was no way to undo it.
Clara still hasn't found her pot of gold. And a pattern is starting to form.
And sure enough, in August of 1921, Frank began to complain of chest pains.
So this board's in my chest. Sounds awful.
The neighbors were very suspicious. You'd had Alonzo die on July the 3rd, and now in August, just a few weeks later,
Thanks, Clara.
Oh no, that one's for Frank. These are for you.
here is Frank dying with the same symptoms.
Unlike his elderly father, Frank fights the illness for weeks. As her husband lies bedridden, Clara invites friends over. But this is no solemn vigil.
Oh, what is he?
Not good, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'm sad. Will you be joining us for dinner?
She definitely wasn't by his bedside, wasn't the weeping widow or to-be widow. So she was kind of exhibiting some strange behavior.
What's the news?
Not good.
It's rather uncommon for neighbors and townsfolk to be suspicious of someone unless they had good reason.
2 weeks after falling ill, Frank Carl finally dies. Clara plays widow a second time.
Frank Carl's life insurance policy was $2,000. That's like $25,000 in today's money.
But Clara underestimates the power of Neighborhood Watch. Frank's friends put their suspicions down on paper.
They were convinced that she had killed her husband and probably her father-in-law as well. Clara began receiving anonymous letters that charged her with murder.
She isn't the only one getting letters.
Letters were written to the prosecutor to tell him that there was some untoward activity that was going on with Clara, and as far as the deaths of Frank and Alonzo Carl, that this was suspicious.
Authorities open an investigation into Frank and Alonzo's deaths.
They exhumed the bodies and brought them back to Indianapolis, where forensic tests were done.
There was like 27 grains of arsenic in Alonzo Carl's body and 6 grains of arsenic in Frank Carl's body. You only need 2 in order to poison a person.
You made it just the way you like it, Frank.
That was enough arsenic to kill an entire jury and have plenty left over for the judge.
It takes a special kind of person to stand by and watch someone suffer, especially after they're the one that dished out the suffering. That kind of person is known as a psychopath. No feeling, no empathy.
Investigators only need to prove one murder to put Clara Carl behind bars. In 1922, she is tried and convicted of poisoning her second husband, Frank Carl. She is sentenced to life.
Clara Carl was a cold, calculating, just wicked person that killed those who were close to her in order to kind of support herself.
But her deceptive charm isn't finished yet. In 1937, she convinces authorities she is dying of a terminal illness. After serving 15 years in prison, Clara is released on parole. She lives a healthy life for the next 30 years.
If Clara hadn't been caught and stopped after killing her second husband, the body count probably would have been a lot higher. Poisoners with a big payday don't stop.